Hello students, good evening. I am Pravin Kumar, your faculty for geography. So Varsha IAS Academy, I welcome you all with a new topic. Today, that topic is very important. The topic is related with your IR and your geography optional as well as for the general studies. So that topic is maritime zones. So, as in the our previous class of the maritime borders, we have discussed the meaning of the maritime. So I'll let you know this again. We'll discuss again this topic. So this maritime zones means or maritime means coastline or coastal region or area we can say, right? Zones means a region or area, regions or area, right? So this is maritime. The coastal areas have been demarcated, have been demarcated on the basis of these certain laws. Certain laws means so that laws or the rules or the regulation which has been framed by United Nations. So this is called United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. It means United Nations has conducted several conventions to frame laws which are implied or which are applicable on the seas, seas of all over the earth or entire globe, right? And the countries are mandatory to follow those regulations or the laws, right? So that is collectively called UNCLOS. UNCLOS means United Nations Convention of Law of Seas. So, to frame these laws, there has been the three convention which started in the 1958, thereafter in the 1962, and then to the 1973, which continued or in this 1973 to 1982. Uh, just a minute. Yes, 1973 to 1982, there has been several conventions to finalize the law of seas, right? So this final declaration came in the year 1982, right? So that let me discuss with you law of the sea or the convention of the law. This is law of the sea, right? When the declaration came or started there in the 1982, final declaration came in the 1982, but it came in the force in the 1994. Means there the countries in the world, they have started using it or they have started following or the implementing it on their territorial part in the oceans from the year of 1994, right? So there was so now here the question, why these laws have been formulated. So the purpose behind this, or we can say objective, objective, or we can say aims to formulate or behind the formulating these laws. The one was the peace with neighboring countries. Neighboring countries. Neighboring countries. For example, the many of the countries they have the border sharing or this they have the water between the two land. Like for example, like India and Sri Lanka. India and Sri Lanka. So these two countries have border in the water. So in order to avoid conflict, there was a necessity or there was need of the certain laws which should be applied or which should be followed by these two countries in order to maintain peace over the area or the region. So there should be no conflict between the countries that this over the area or the region. So this other things should be disturbed. Number two, there was need of smooth flow or function or operation of international trade. International trade. Right, means, for example, there any of the sea route is there to connect the two countries. But if there the disturbance is going on, so that trade cannot be smoothly run or operated over that region. For example, there the most famous sea route is there that is called Malacca Strait. Malacca Strait. Malacca Strait is in between. I'll mark over with the map. So this here is Malaya. This is called Malaya Peninsula. Malaya Peninsula, and here is Sumatra Island. Sumatra Island is the part of Indonesia. Malaya Peninsula is a part of Malaysia. In between them, there is a narrow passage of sea or the route. So that is called Malacca Strait. So it is a significant sea route which separates or which connects Southeast Asia with other countries of the world. For example, this is a route which connects to the from the Indian Ocean to the Europe and Africa. Right, and it is an important sea route. From here, this will go to, if we remove this from here, this is to Africa. This is to Europe. So this is an important trade route. So means there between the two countries, or in order to avoid the conflict between the two countries, in order to easily flow or they maintain or the operation of international trade, there was certain laws was needed that should be implied in order to avoid the conflict there, right? So that international trade could be certainly or smoothly run between the different regions of the world, right? Thereafter, number third was there was to avoid conflict on ground of border, or we can say maritime border, right? So means in this condition, the conflict should not be there in order to encroach the area of one country by the other country. So in order to maintain peace, in order to avoid conflict with the two countries, so there was need of the demarcation of maritime border, right? Thereafter, number four was the harnessing of marine resources, marine resources, harnessing of marine resources. For example, as I have given you there, this is a Malacca state, which is also a borderline between the two countries, that is Malaysia and Indonesia. If Indonesia wants to harness a resource or want to produce resource from the this Malacca state, So, Indonesia should not enter. Indonesia should not enter in the area of Malaysia, and Malaysia should not enter in the areas of Indonesia. So, in order to maintain or in order to have the resource harnessing their defense, or we can say the rights of the country, so this law of the sea has been framed. For example, another one, like if Indonesian people or the fishermen, they want to catch fish, they should catch in their area only. If they enter in the area, or they enter in the border of Malaysia, that will be violation of international law. Or Indonesia forcefully cannot enter in the water of Malaysia in order to harness the resource, that will be the violation of international law. Similarly, there Malaysia cannot enter in the water of Indonesia in order to harness resource. Means the laws have been demarcated, or laws have been framed in order to demarcate resource resource borderline in oceans and seas. Means no country can enter in the areas of other, or they do not have the right on the, or we can say that they cannot claim on the ocean resources right on the other countries area. So that is that the law of the sea also gives the right to the countries to harness resources from the oceans and the seas. So these, on the basis of these four purposes, four objectives, on the basis of four aims, the laws of the seas have been framed. Now, that in this condition, there has been the framing of the law of the sea. So, in order to clear cut demarcation, of the law of sea, the certain border has been demarcated or been identified from the distance of the coast, or from the coastline. For example, the first important is a coastline is considered as a baseline. It is a baseline. The coast is considered, or coastline is considered as a baseline. That is in the case of smooth baseline. So, on the basis of this, their different maritime zones has been divided or demarcated. The one is internal water. The first is called internal water. Number two, it is called territorial water. Number three, it is called contiguous zone. Number four, it is called exclusive economic zone. And number five, it is called high sea or open sea. High sea or open sea. Right? So we take one by one. The first is internal water. So you remember this baseline? So there are the two types of the baseline. Two types of the baseline means there will be two conditions will be on the demarcation of the baseline. Number one, the countries, those who have smooth coastline, so there will be a simple demarcation of the baseline. Some countries can have the zigzag coast, or that is called intended coast. Intended coast means they will have, or simple language we call zigzag coast line. So how does it appear? Zigzag coastline, this will be like this. This is called intended coastline. So in this case, this coastline is not smooth, so there will be uh, different demarcation of the coastline. So this will be considered. Suppose this is the area, so this will be considered from the most projected tip of the land. Here this and this touching the tip, this. So this will be considered baseline for intended coastline. The water here beyond this baseline or from this coast to the baseline. So this is whole water. This is whole water is called internal water. It is called internal water. So I hope now you understand that we are taking this first zone, first maritime zone. First maritime zone is this is internal water, right? So this internal water is these are the water, the sea water which enters into the mainland or towards or inside the main continental part. In the case when they have the intended coastline. So this internal water, it is very significant. And the countries, those who have internal water, they are in the great advantage situation or the position, right? So what is the significance of this internal water? So it has great significance in the internal water, right? So the significance of internal water, as we see that coastline is zigzag, so there we can easily construct the natural ports. So this is very much significance of the internal water or the zigzag or intended coastline. So natural port can be constructed easily on such type of platform or the such type of the coastline. Number one. Number two, we can easily go for this small scale fishing. Small scale fishing, right? For example, this small fisherman, they or non-commercial fishing, they go for the catching of the fish in that area. So these are also fishing grounds or zones, fishing zones. Like for example, Maharashtra, Maharashtra is is largest producer of marine fish, marine fish over west coast, So this is the advantage of intended coastline in the west coast of India. So west coast of India is an example of the intended coastline. So west coast of India is the best example of intended coastline, and this whole area has the fishing ground, right, or the intended coast or internal water. Number two. This is number two. Number three. We can go for producing of resources, or we can say mineral resources. Mineral resources means whatever the minerals are reserved on the sea floor that we can harness or we have right to harness it. So this is we have right to harness marine resource from internal water. So means no country can obstruct us or no country can stop us from harnessing the resources, right? Then after, for example, I give you the best example of it. India has been producing petroleum, or we can say crude oil. Crude oil. Crude oil is a raw oil for the petroleum. India produced crude oil from Mumbai High. Mumbai High. So if I go according to the location, so suppose we take example, this is, here is Mumbai, here is Mumbai, suppose, and Mumbai High is locating from the coast, or from away from the coast, about 150 kilometer away, right? So this here is Mumbai High. So this coastline is also, or intended coast is more bigger there, and the some of the refineries have also been installed there in the Mumbai High. So this petrol has been supplied from here to the refineries. So this is on the internal water, right? So then after uh, number 4, we can install our several non-conventional non-conventional energy sources. What is this non-conventional energy sources? Like wind energy, wind energy, tidal energy, tidal energy, right? So these two are the very important, the source of the energy in the coastal areas. For example, as we see, this intensity, or we can say magnitude of tide has been recorded recorded greater in estuaries, right? So that there in this part, the magnitude of tide is higher, so we can install our tidal energy plant. And also in the narrow creeks. So I just will let you know this one more thing here. So in the internal water, this all this I'll write here: lagoons, brackish water, brackish water, estuaries, estuaries have been included in the internal water. So these brackish water, these lagoons, they all have the high tidal source or the force. In the coastal areas, there is a continuous blow of wind. So in the creek and the estuaries, the wind velocity relatively increases greater in comparison to the open seas. So here, because of high wind velocity, wind energy plant, or the wind energy can be installed in the creek areas, or in the zones of intended coastline, right? Thereafter, this is the economic significant point of view. Thereafter, in the internal water, if we go to the politically or geopolitically, this is very significant, because the laws of country applies on internal water. I am writing IW. The laws of country applies on the internal water, means the country, those who have the coastline with the or the country's internal water, the laws of the country will be applied. For example, over the west coast of India, in our internal water, our law will be applied on it, right? No other country can claim their law in our internal water. Means the internal water also important, or the sovereignty has been claimed in the internal water. Right. Then after the coast guards and and police have exclusive rights. They have exclusive rights uh, in in internal water. Means the coast guard can obstruct and can go for checking of any ship or the boat which is approaching to the coast. So they can obstruct, they can block the movement of any ship, they can block the movement of any boat which are approaching to the coast. So if they find of any doubt there on the movement or the progress of any ships or the boat, so they can block their progress and can go for checking of the this type of navigation or this type of the this ocean traffic, right? So they have exclusive right, right? Then after in the internal water, they are all like we can say this vigilance has been kept by coastal country, right? So there will be continuously or there will be always a vigilance on the coast, right? So this is all about internal water. Next it comes to the territorial territorial water. So from here, there the law of sea starts implementing, right? There from suppose this is this is intended coastline, this is baseline, this is internal water. From the baseline, I am writing here BL. From the baseline to 12 nautical miles. From baseline to 12 nautical miles, it is called territorial water. Right? Territorial water. So in the territorial water, there means this is up to 12 nautical miles, up to 12 nautical miles from baseline. From baseline. Here again sovereignty of the country has been maintained right. Then after here in this part the country has right to exploit or harness resources. So means if a country want to set up of any of the plant in order to produce a resource from the oceans, so they can set up. For example, India has set up Mumbai High. Mumbai High. Right. So in this discussion I was saying, so in the internal water, so this is 150 Mumbai High is 150 kilometer away in the territorial water, but this few of the refineries and the few of the plant has been set up there in the internal water also. But that is in the internal water, but that is very low scale or the low production is taking place, and the refinery has been set up there in the internal water, right? And in the territorial water there is oil producing center there in the territorial water. So means in this condition the law of seas or law of countries are are applicable in internal water, right? Then after Then after here also there is deployment of defense forces. It can be either Navy or Army or Air Force, aircraft carriers. So they can all be deployed in the territorial water. So no one can enter in the territorial water without the permission of the country. So they have to inform what they are carrying on, right? Then after, from internal water to next of the 12 nautical miles, from territorial water, it comes to the contiguous zone. Now the contiguous zone is from territorial water to further 12 nautical miles. This is contiguous zone again to the 12 nautical miles. But from the baseline, this is 24 nautical miles. 24 nautical miles from the baseline. So contiguous zone is 12 nautical miles from territorial water, 24 nautical miles from baseline or baseline, right? So contiguous zone is very important here because the country has right to do defense exercise. So country can do any defense exercise in the contiguous zone, right? And also therein the in the contiguous zone, the sovereignty of the country, of country does not apply. So means our laws will not be applicable on them. So that no installation or no deployment of defense we can say the forces. Defense forces means there will be no placement or no installation of the defense forces in the contiguous zone. So therefore all the permanent naval bases, here we can say this is in the territorial water, they are all permanent. In this connection, they are permanent naval base has been installed or deployed in territorial water. That is very significant in the their sea securities or the maritime securities. So there is permanent naval have been deployed in territorial water and exercise done in contiguous zone, right? So this is the contiguous zone. Here the most important part of this contiguous zone, this is also called hot pursuit. This is called hot pursuit because a coastal country can chase enemy up to contiguous zone. That means any of the person who is trying to flee from the country or beyond the law of the country. So the country, if catches within the contiguous zone and can bring them back into their territorial waters, so all the laws will be applied on them. If it goes beyond the contiguous zone, so no law will be applicable on that. So therefore, this is called the hot pursuit, right? Thereafter, next is called number fourth is exclusive economic zone. This is called exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone is very significant, or it is very significant because I'll draw it new. This is here the baseline to territorial water up to 12 nautical miles. Territorial water 12 nautical miles. Contiguous zone from here to here again 12 nautical miles. This is contiguous zone, and from baseline to 200 nautical miles. 200 nautical miles. This is called exclusive economic zone, right? According to 1958 convention of UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, in the 1958, exclusive economic zone used to be called as exclusive fishing zone. Exclusive fishing zone. Right? Exclusive fishing zone. Right? But in the 1982, this has been renamed as exclusive economic zone. Means the country has the right to harness resources up to 200 nautical miles. Right? So this is an important information about this. So there any resources which are available, marine resources in terms of any mineral resource or any biotic resource, or we can say abiotic and biotic resource. So like fishing, so they can be exploited or they can be harnessed from the exclusive economic zone, right? Thereafter, it comes to the last zone, number, this is number 5. Number 5 is called high sea or open sea. Open sea means this is beyond the 200 nautical miles. This whole area is a open sea or high sea. High sea. It means in the high sea or the open sea, the no sovereignty of any country and no application of any law of any country. So this is open for all, right? So here no country can claim their laws on that. No application of any law of any country, right? Thereafter, in this zone, this anyone goes beyond the exclusive economic zone, this law of any country has not been applied there. So we find there all the pirates, Caribbean pirates you must have heard about. So all the pirates are there in the, or they have been parked there in the high seas or the open seas. But this high sea or the open sea is significant there in terms of international international sea route or trade route or trade route. So no country can deny, no country can claim they claim on this route or this area. So it has been used as a sea route or the trade route in the ocean. So these are used for the, or this is called the lake of navigation or zone of navigation or zone of navigation. So there will be smoothly running of the ships for the trade or the movement from one place to another place. There one important concept also comes. For example, there I have discussed in the starting, this is Malacca Strait. Malacca Strait. So Malacca Strait, for example, the two countries have or the two countries does not have that much distance beyond the 200 nautical miles. So in that condition, suppose for example I give you, this is India and here is Sri Lanka. So their distance is very less between the two. So these two countries will make an agreement between the two and will settle their bid of the land in order to demarcate their maritime border. So as between India and Sri Lanka, it is called Park Strait. Park Strait is a border between India and Sri Lanka. Similarly, in the Malaysia and Indonesia island. So this is Malacca Strait. Malacca Strait is the border between the Malaysia and the Indonesia. So there the two countries will settle with them or between them in order to maintain the maritime border between the two. So, but here the one term also comes there in the light, that is called innocent passage. Innocent passage. Innocent passage. Innocent passage, it is very important term which has been very usually discussed in the maritime border or the international relation. So innocent passage is mentioned in the UNCLOS article 14 and 15. So this article says no country can deny right to, I'll write here, right to innocent passage. Right to innocent passage. Right? No country can deny right to innocent passage. For example, if a ship is going from one country to another country and there is no other way, so they want the passage from their country, so that the country has to give them passage to move to the other country. So for that the ship will be going, or ship passes from territorial water. Territorial water. So means what? So this is a territorial water where the sovereignty of the country has been prevailing, or the law of the country has been prevailing. So if a ship want to enter in the territorial water, they have to take the permission, or the country can give the permission for passing by from their territorial water only in advance, or the permission granted in advance. Permission granted in advance. So that there the country cannot deny, but they have to give the permission to pass on in the prior permission only. Otherwise, there will be a delay in the passage of the ship. It will not be the fault of the country. So it will be only delay, or this will be fault or the delay of the ship side, where they have not informed in advance. Right. Then after, but taking the passage from the territorial water, but their right to innocent passage, right to innocent passage is subjected to declaration. Must remember this. Is subjected to declaration. Declaration means, subjected to declaration means the ship has to, or the captain has to there announce or inform about about his his uh, destination and 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 the load what he is taking there in the ship. So if country finds, or means the country where this ship has been passing by, if country finds there's something suspective item, or suspicious item, suspicious material, or goods have been supplied to other countries, so they can obstruct or block or deny passage until complete examination and satisfaction. So means until the country gets satisfied with this whole the goods what the ship has been carrying on, so they cannot give the permission to pass by. So that is innocent passage. So this is only in order to keep the threat away. So this all the examination has been done only to maintain the peace and keep threat away from any misconduct. Right. So this is there the this is right to innocent passage. So this is all about right to innocent passage. Means if a country is, or the ship which is going on or asking for passage, if he satisfy the authorities with their goods, with their documents, with their all these supports, so there is no harm, the country allows to pass by. So that has been they maintained in order to maintain the sovereignty and the peace at the global level, right? So that is there. So there was a case that Italian personals, they killed or fired Kerite fisherman. So something it happened in the year, I feel this early near 2011 or something. They killed the Kerala fishermen. These personals, they were immediately arrested. The reason for that is uninformedly or without any information. Without any information, they entered in territorial water of India, and then after they killed a Indian citizen. So they entering in the territorial water killing and also killing by conducting a crime. So they were immediately arrested. They were arrested and were sent to jail. So later on, this was the case run on them, and this they have been sent to jail. They have been kept there on. Then there was a proceeding of the court. So later on, this action has been taken on. So because as we have discussed, all the laws of country applies on territorial water and internal water, right? So this is the we have discussed about this important aspect of the just summarizing on this is summarizing on the today's topic. The summary what we have done today: law of seas. Law of seas. This law of the sea has been formulated or the result of three conventions, that is UN clause. This UN clause are there. This is 1958, 1962 and 1973 to 1982, which was finalized in the 82 and was implemented in the or brought into force in the 1994. According to this, the maritime border have been divided into the 5 zones. One is internal water. Number 2, territorial water. Number 3, their contiguous zones, exclusive economic zone, and high seas or open sea. Then we have discussed a very important topic, that is called uh, right to innocent passage. Right to innocent passage. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Right. So hope all these topics are clear with you. So these topics are very important for prelims. That they can ask you the characteristics of all any of these maritime zones. Then for mains, and also for the for this is for the geography, and then for the to understand the international relation. So these are very important to understand this in the GS paper 3, right? So I hope this session of this discussion of the maritime zone has been useful for you. So we'll meet again in the next topic. So wish you all the best. Keep learning, keep studying. Thank you.